Hello and welcome to Zim's podcast. In this podcast, you'll get to hear from the new CEO of ICES, Roger Stonecipher, as he addresses the European Association of Zoos and Aquariums annual conference in Copenhagen in September 2009. Apologies for the lighting, which we couldn't control, and it's a little bit too pink, but this gives you a great chance to get to know Roger.
So first of all, my name is Roger Stonecipher. I've spent 20 years in the corporate world. I've worked for AT&T my entire career in the telecommunications space, and I've moved around 6 different times with the company, running different divisions, and I wanted to pick 2 or 3 kind of key experiences that I think are applicable here to this position. I'm an engineer by training. I've got a master's in industrial engineering from Purdue University in the U.S. and spent my first few years as an industrial engineer on the manufacturing environment. And it's great because that's where the rubber hits the road. You're trying to get product out and there's no time for a whole lot of nonsense. And so great learning track early. And it's a very systemized way of thinking, very pragmatic. And I've used that kind of thinking along many other responsibilities that I've had. So it was a good training ground in that. The second, I think, applicable is I ran our quality organization, which implemented kind of total quality management and Six Sigma. Again, tremendous learning experience for me working with all organizations, so sales or marketing or R&D or manufacturing or accounting on what are you trying to accomplish? What are the processes that you go through? What are the metrics and the KPIs and the early indicators to ensure that your outcome that you're hoping for is what you achieve? And so, again, tremendous learning experience. I think there are things there that I can apply here. And then my last 10 years, I've really spent more on the business side. And so I've got an MBA and spent time in product management and marketing and introducing products from our Bell Labs design team, which if you know engineers, and specifically Bell Labs engineers, they like to design things to perfection and will take years to make sure it's perfected before they introduce it to the market. And so clearly my job was walking that line, ensuring that you've got a great product but hit a timeline and a goal and launch a product to market. And so probably the most applicable thing that I've done in my past that I think we'll be able to use here in the short term. And so over the last few years, I've run different divisions, and the last was the power organization of AT&T, where we were roughly $500 million in revenue and had 3,000 employees around the world in 27 different countries. And there, clearly the complexity of running an organization with different regions, different cultures, different languages, applicable here as you try to ensure that your strategic plan is on the same page, everybody understands it, focused, and moving toward that. So those are some of the kind of the experiences that I've had. I think will kind of be in the first as I get up to speed here with the ICES organization. So when I looked at what I wanted to do with the next 20 years of my life, I really started doing some deep soul searching and trying to do something a little bit more important than selling telephones, a little bit more impact. So as I've now gotten on board, and it's just been a few weeks, but I've talked to a number of people, a number of folks by phone, probably over 100 different people, on ICES and the organization and priorities moving forward. And I think the things that I've seen from a strengths and weaknesses standpoint are clearly the strengths are the network and the community of the organizations that we interact with clearly here and in the U.S. and in Asia and the other parts of the world. We kind of have a view to all of these organizations and the priorities. And then also, the software tools and the tools that, we develop so that you guys can do your jobs more efficiently. The weaknesses, are really around a small organization that don't have the structure and the processes as organizations grow to be effective and really take us to the next level. And these are things that I've done in many other organizations and am comfortable with. And so the stories about, when we get an animal transferred, we normally have to re-enter all of the data. Or we don't have the training record, so we're not quite sure how they've been trained, or when we go to see what they've been fed, we have to walk through papers to see what they've been fed. If we're trying to do an inventory of what animals we have in the region, we need to query each of the zoos and then collect it, and it's a year's worth of work. This is archaic. If you're trying to get an inventory of what you have in your region, that is literally seconds away. Should be seconds away from saying, okay, what do we have? Okay, and the rest of the world, I think, has moved to this, and we're not there yet. And so it's difficult to take incremental steps to get there. We really need to take a step function. We need to get to where this, which, apart from any other software that we use on accounting or ticket sales, should be critical to our mission. This should be the software that is the best at our operations. So the first few weeks, clearly, I thought my most important job was digging into ZIMS. Where are we with this project? And I've used the Agile process that we've used, and it's the latest process in industry. And so I was excited to see that the team has adopted that and 12 months ago moved to that. And if you don't know Agile processes, it basically is, instead of going through a development and having a big bang at the end, it's smaller increments of capacity. So scope it out, develop it, test it, put that aside, that's done. And then so these are little sprints that we work through. And so there's 7 sprints involved. We're through 5 of them. And the good news is all of the work on that aspect is complete. So all of the major development work is done as of this week. And so now we're off to fixing the bugs that we've identified, going through the final testing. And that's a difficult process. So I don't want to underestimate that. But we're over the hump on the major development. And the product is coming out in March. And it'll be launched in. So that's great news. What we now need to do is to get prepared for launching and rolling out and training and executing to ensure that it's a smooth transition to that piece of it. And so what we'll be doing, and we had the early adopters meeting, which is basically 15 or so institutions that are going through this process before we roll it out to the rest of the world, to ensure that it's rolled out properly and it works and the screens are flowing. And so these folks were in 3 weeks ago, and Franz Carlson was part of that team. And it was great for me to see these individuals who had been through the pains of bringing it to where it was, to see that, wow, this thing really works, there's real screens, it's easy flow, this is exciting. And the feedback out of that group was tremendous. And so for me, coming into the organization and seeing kind of where we had been and now where we are, and the excitement in these individuals is really inspiring to me to make sure that we get this done around the world. And so in March of next year, what will happen is that we'll flip the switch and all ISIS members will be on ZIMS. So what that means is that when you're accessing data, you're looking at data around the world, and when you're uploading data, we're uploading into ZIMS versus uploading into ARCs. Now, you may still be using your ARC software, but when you upload it, it's into ZIMS, and then we'll communicate down through the ZIMS interface. And then, on a very controlled schedule, we're working through to get you trained and up and running. And the first step of that is a readiness survey to ensure your organization understands what has to happen for a successful deployment. Do you have the right connectivity? Do you have the right computers? Do you want one subject matter expert or 10 subject matter experts, and how you go through that training? And so you'll fill out that survey, we'll get the team on, and then roll it through. And so that's the process of what's happening over the next few months. So that's kind of the update. It's an exciting time for us. The message here is that it's coming. We've tested it. It's going to be out. So let's now move on to how we deploy successfully. It's great to be on board. It was good to meet you guys. And those that you have met, please stop by and introduce yourself. And I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.